I'm Susana from Brazil, living in Bali since 2018, so 7 years in Bali. Hello.
Hi, my name is Sahar. I'm from Morocco.
Did we miss? Hi guys. We can always open the space. Yeah, open the space. So welcome guys to this talk, this Sacred Union talk. I'm happy that you chose to be here today. It means that you are really connected to this energy of Sacred Union. So let me introduce quickly myself. As I said, I'm Susana from Brazil, and my story with Sacred Union started back in 2019 when I didn't even know that this word, to be honest, this name is Sacred Union, now it's very popular. But back then I had no idea what it was. What happened is that I found myself having to heal parts of my feminine and parts of my masculine. And during this process, I got to a point that I was fully guided to marry myself. And at that moment, I understood how I was broken, and in that moment, I was healing this brokenness inside through choosing to be in peace, at peace with my parts, with my feminine and my masculine. And this changed my whole journey. And later, 1 year later, I met my beloved, and he has his own story that he can share with you guys as well. And 2 years after that, we also had our own sacred union. We chose to do a ritual of seeing the divine in each other that was also guided. And this is always, it was very special, always connecting to solstice and equinox, special dates. Not that we chose them, they just happened to be. So nowadays I understand why. Back then I didn't. And yeah, this is just an introduction of what we are doing here today. We're going to be talking about this subject. My love?
I can share. Sacred union for me, I got to a point, actually it was because of Susanna, we met and I was attracted to Susanna for a while, and she kept knocking me back, like she was not interested in me, I was too old, I had kids, and I just kept getting rejected, and I was like, oh. And I remember standing on a balcony in Limboin, like talking to the moon and the ocean, and I was in tears, and I just said, you know what, I love this woman with all my heart, but I need somebody who loves me the same. So I choose me. And I literally said these words out loud. I said, I choose me. So I was going back to Ubud the next day and I was going to tell Susanna we're done. And then the next morning, Susanna was walking down the beach. Do you want to tell this part? Susanna was walking down the beach in Budumbu where she lived, and she was talking to the ocean, and she said, God, here's this guy, he's everything that I wanted in my life and more. And I keep pushing him away and rejecting him. What the hell? I choose him. So she was coming to Ubud to say yes, I was coming to Ubud to say no. Lucky I'm a gentleman and I let ladies go first. Otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here. Yeah, so the point is I had to actually choose me first for Susanna to feel that energy to take it and go, okay, I want to.
So I want to ask you guys, what is sacred union for you? Because it can mean different things.
Okay. Popcorn style, anybody?
In short, maybe a conscious connection.
What does sacred union mean?
Something sacred.
Yeah, there are many ways you can interpret this word. Yeah, you can pick the one that resonates better. But I like what Tasha said. It's a consciousness, it's an energy, it's a frequency that we tap in, and then when we get to this point, we find our inner peace. And this is a preparation, I would say like that, if we really want to commit to be in relationships. Because how do you want to find someone that is ready for you, committing to you, if you are not committed fully to yourself? Yeah. So this is the first step to connecting with our own reality, our own personality, our own being, ourselves. To understand that we have to find this inner balance inside us. Is it easy? It's a journey, right? Everything in life is a journey. We have to navigate through it. We have to find the way how to go, how to receive it. So my journey started there in 2019, back in a goddess conference, when I had to reassure my own name. I had to start with embracing my name, because back then I was just introducing myself as Susie, 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 because it was fun, it was childish, I like it. But then when I got to that point, I was saying, hey, I'm Susanna, and that shifted something inside me. And I was like, whoa, there is so much power every time I was introducing myself again. So I was honoring that part of me. And then when that was good, when I found peace at that side, I started to look to the other side. And I started to connect to the brokenness of the masculine. And understand that, hey, I have to look with this with love. And then there is another journey to get into those steps of, okay, now I'm ready to commit to this path. So this was my journey with Sacred Union, and then this is what I want to share here with you guys, but through your own stories, through your own experience as well, or what you're searching for. So let me ask you something. Who here is in a relationship? Yeah, so that's usually what happens.
Okay, I was just going to say, Susanna said, like, it's not easy, it's a journey, but it is actually easier to find whatever I'm looking for in myself. It's way easier to find it here than to go searching for it in my life. And I spent my whole life searching for it externally, like searching for somebody who was going to accept me, who was going to love me, who was going to see me, who was going to make me feel amazing about myself. And I got like moments of that, but nothing ever really satisfied myself. So the easier journey is actually seeing within myself. And when I feel, it's like I spent my whole life like giving. I was a people pleaser. I could give really easy, but I didn't know how to receive. So I'm leaned over, like, and I'm always giving. And while I'm doing that, my bucket of self-love is always emptying out, you know? So I was, in the end, giving from an empty well. And I was trying to give people what I thought they wanted, each different person. And the truth is, I didn't even know what they wanted. And they didn't feel because it wasn't authentic. So when I learned how to fill my own bucket, like I first of all stopped that and started giving to me, filled my bucket until my bucket started overflowing, and then people could feel this real, authentic love. But I always came first, so I wasn't losing myself in that process.
How many times we tried to be in a relationship that it was just one side going through it, and the other one was a little bit like, eh. How many times we did that, yeah? It's because we are still not committed to that part, yeah? We are just pushing, we're teasing, we are also relating to that part of like, you need me, someone needs to need me, someone needs what, I'm lovable, yeah? We have this thing about we want to be loved so deeply. That's what we were taught about love. We have to be lovable. The girls, we have to be the good girls. If we're not a good girl, it's good, yeah. Who related to that? The guys as well, yeah, you have to behave in a certain way, be like this or that, through the eyes of society. But let's see if you also agree with me. We are shifting that, right? You guys are here single. You are single because you think that it's hard to find someone out there, or because you chose to be single? Yeah, relating is not easy. Life is relationship. And then we also get to a point now that of course we want just the good things, right? We are living in Bali. We're living our dream life and the dream of many other thousands of people. And of course, what we want to create this life with someone probably. If you're here doing also that or not, with me, because secret you can be with yourself only or with someone. But you want to find someone that understands what you're living, who understands your choices, that will also be part of what you want to experience in the world. So, in my view, what is happening right now is that we are looking for partners that understand this vision, the new vision. In the past, relationships were about marrying because the family had the relationships or it was a friend, and this idea of love has shifted so much, especially in the last years. In the past, in countries, until now actually, in countries like India, it's all about family getting together for arranged marriage. And this works because they have a common focus. In our Western society, it has been always the idea of Disney, right? The princess has to find the prince, and it's clear, not working. So we are in this moment of redesigning, redefining, recreating relationships. We are proving that that steps back there, they didn't work. Lots of divorces, lots of things came out. Single mothers, single fathers. So this is a beautiful time to recreate that.
Everybody feel that shift? Does anybody feel there's a shift in terms of relationships now? That something's happened where things are just different? Does anyone want to speak to what that is, what that feels like for them?
Don't be shy.
Be shy.
So seeing that relationships are going through like a crisis, and I think we look back at our generation before us and we see, okay, this didn't work, how can we change it? And I think now we are focusing on like, okay, if monogamy is not working, let's try something more open. And sometimes that works and also sometimes that doesn't work. And I think what you are talking about is really powerful, about first feeling that wholeness within and not seeking externally for what we want, but not to the point where we're becoming completely avoidant. And I think in the world we have such a big aversion to being dependent on people. Meanwhile, relationships, economy, everything in the world, nature is all about healthy dependency, not giving to the point of exhaustion, but also not being so hyper-independent that there isn't space for us to open to people and to love and share love and accept help. So I've been on a similar journey. It's a long day. I've left a 6-year relationship. So I think I've also been very external focused in my life, where from very early on in my life I had to pay attention to relationships and what was happening in my house. So my energy became so external and the hypervigilance arose. So now my focus is really on what in yoga we call pratyahara, which is sense withdrawal, like pulling in the senses, and every time I'm like, oh, this thing, relationship, or this career, or something is going to satisfy me. I try to find that internally first. And it's been the most healing and beautiful experience that you've shared. So thank you so much for this. This is a beautiful affirmation of my journey and other people's journeys. So thank you.
Anybody else want to speak to what the shift is like for them now? Or noticing the shift?
So personally, I've felt the shift from enjoying inner marriage and inner work as well, and understanding the polarity of masculine and feminine dynamics in myself, and being able to see that on my own, but then exploring with other people with this as well is really interesting. I've noticed a shift with the amount of work I do. Evolve myself and attracting a different partner and attracting partners that have done that work as well. So I think the evolution is in being extending to what this stuff. So that's my experience.
So that's a very, very good point. Like, just the fact that you're aware that there's a shift happening, guys, means that you're aware of it. Because there's 99% of the population who aren't aware of it, that things are changing, that things are shifting, they're caught up in it. So the awareness is the first key, and then the awareness to do something about it within me is the next really goal.
We've never been so free as women as we are now. We are the voices of our grandmothers and our ancestors that didn't have a voice. And this is the change that we are experiencing right now as women. And we can just be right now what we want. And this is hard for men because this is never like it is now. Right? It was always different. There was this commitment of being a housewife, a mother. And now we are so much free to make choices. So we had a talk here talking about feminine energy. And we spoke to that. We spoke about the freedom that we have right now. We spoke about being the voices and using this voice, using these spaces that we have, that they never had. And also be grateful, yeah? Because if we didn't have our ancestors, we wouldn't be here right now. So look at the power that we hold as women. We have the power of being what our ancestors couldn't be. And then what we do regarding men, we have men in our lives all the time, we relate, and we have masculine energy. What we do about that? So, in our case, it's about embracing everything together. It's walking side by side. So that's the shift that we are embracing now. It's to understand that there is no more space for the patriarchy. And we don't want the matriarchy to be the same as patriarchy. We are recreating that. And how matriarchy works, it's very different. Matriarchy never had guns. If we look back to our archaeology, and there was I think it's Maria Gamba, something like that. She wrote all about that, the studies of the matriarchal society. And women were never in front. They walked side by side with men. So this is what we are here to create. And if you guys are here, it's because you understand that. Maybe not your mind yet, but with your soul. Your soul is remembering. We are already living this beautiful 5D, you know, the fifth dimension that everyone was talking years ago. So far away. Guys, it's not a place. It's a frequency. And it's inside all of us. Do you guys agree that we are living our dream lives here at this moment? Are you? I am. You are? I am. Even the power of the I am.
The change, the shift that's happened that I recognize in me is, and I'm noticing this with a lot of other men, especially I run men's circles, so I notice there's something happening with men. That for the first time in my life, I chose to be in something, like fully, boots and all. So like when Susanna said through, like when things aren't working, when things, like through the struggles as well. In the past, I'd be like, this isn't working out, I'm out of here. You know, like as soon as things were getting too difficult, I'd disappear. Obviously, I've met the wrong one. Obviously, this person isn't the right one for me. Instead of going, no, I'm in boots and all. No matter what goes on here, we work through this together. And then there's something that happens that I didn't even realize was possible. Like before, every relationship I've had before Susanna, I've always had one foot in, one foot out. Just in case I've read the wrong one, just in case, you know, like, oh my God, I have to keep my options open. And I didn't realize that in committing to the one, and committing to this fully, I feel so much safer. Like I have no leaky energy. I have no. If anyone flirts with me, I mention my wife's name immediately. And I don't buy into that anymore. So having no leaky energy, I feel so safe here. Like I didn't realize that that was the thing. And I notice a lot of men now are also starting to step into this, like into this commitment, this committed role. And I think I definitely swung from, to the other way. I went to the whole, I'm going to be polyamory, and I'm not meant to be in one relationship. And it was good to experience both extremes, and then to come back and go, actually, and I'm not saying anything against polyamory. It worked for some people. It just didn't work for me. Like I noticed in committing fully to myself first, and then with Susanna, that I'm in 1,000%. I feel so much safety there.
One thing that also shifted when I met Dean is the understanding of the meaning of love. Once again, we go back to the Disney idea of magical princesses and princess. And then you meet some guy that is doing his work, and the connection is very different. It's not that passion, that craziness. It's stable, it's peaceful, it's harmonious. Of course, we are not a perfect couple, we have our issues. But love was introduced to me in a very different way. In a frequency, in an energy of presence, of understanding. So this is something that we are also understanding now, that to find love, it's not about the crazy love, the passion, and only attraction, or only this, or only that. Nope. Love is very different. Love it grows. It's infinite. It's so abundant. Expands, expands, expands. I was trying to explain one day, like, oh, I feel like this huge wave that just goes. It's an ocean so vast that has no end. The perception is so different. Because it's not about this only romantic love. The romantic love is broken. It's about being together. It's about committing to just being. It's not that we are the half of the oranges. We are full pieces committing to each other, yeah? Combining to each other and creating a beautiful juice.
Maybe you guys can share, because I think there's an important thing here around love. Like, what does love look like? Or what does love mean to you? Anybody want to speak to that?
I feel love is able to give, the ability to give and to receive at the same time. And I feel like sometimes there's wrong frequencies like you tap into that you're either not ready to receive or you're just ready to give. And for me, I think the base of love is friendship, because I've experienced over not long, and in a successful relationship is based on passion and like sexual attraction, and it didn't last. It's not only it doesn't last, it's more of when things end like this, you're fully committed. And I think that part of your, like, based on friendship, you share the same vision, the same goal, and you're willing to work side by side and towards that, which I think in other, there's a lot of like love, what do we call it, romantic love based on other things, and they have their own agenda, and the agendas clash, and they have differences, and where that turned into power struggle or something I wouldn't say love.
Thank you, Sam. To expand on that, I think a lot of the love I was searching for in my life was somebody who was going to heal my wounds. I was looking for a band-aid for my wounds, and when they couldn't put a band-aid on it, they didn't make me feel better about my wound. In essence, for me, love looked like that. So I was giving people this every time they wanted love. And to somebody else, like Susanna, love might look like this. So she doesn't experience my love if I keep giving her this, you know? So I think I had to first of all redefine for myself, or define for myself, what does love look like? And how would I know that unless I give it to myself? But the way I love myself is very different to the way Susanna might love herself, or the way you might love yourself, something, you know? It might be a very different concept, or a different way of being. So how do I love myself?
How?
How? Well, before I answer, does somebody want to answer how they love themselves? I don't want to just be the one talking.
I think you've discussed this previously, but for myself, I realized that I had to show up for myself first and do the things that are important to me to keep myself happy and healthy. You're not going to show up for another. So if you neglect yourself, then you're not going to do anything. So you're showing up.
Anyone else?
Self-love is a practice for me. So when I sit in meditation, I try to feel the frequency of love and see all the places within me that cannot accept that frequency. And then just imagine like soaking like a dry sponge every part of my body in that. And of course, as I sit with that frequency of love, you also sit with all the wounding, with all the pain, with all the judgment. And I also focus on my internal dialogue. You know, so I've noticed that I only feel hurt by others, like rejected by others, if I reject myself internally. So I make sure that I don't have those stories. And then at the same time showing up and just doing like the basic physical things, you know, like movement and meditation and journaling and all those beautiful things. Thank you.
From Jaguar, by the way. For me, self-love is having to really go deep and recognize what it is that you need for a moment. That in itself can be a journey. But when you recognize that, you give yourself time and space to feel into that. You still can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll use my projection voice. So self-love is being able to really tap in deep to myself and being able to feel and recognize what it is I need and to be able to give that to myself, which a lot of times is giving you enough space and time perhaps to heal sometimes. And just like not pressuring myself, which is a bad habit I used to have, pressuring myself and thus pressuring other people in my life and people I love too, because you can't really treat other people better than you treat yourself. I mean, not for a long time anyway. But then conversely, after a period of giving that to myself, like also knowing when to establish the boundary, when to stop and say, hey, it's time to move on, time to move into something different, different energy, shift gears. You fooled around long enough.
I believe that true self-love goes to letting go of all fear, because we usually do have a bit of fear that holds us back from not only loving ourselves, but loving truly our passions. So I believe that in order to truly love myself, I need to release all fears of failure rejection or anything that may be negative?
It also ties with what you just said. For me, it's following my dreams and really going for it and allowing myself to be successful. Yeah. I think love is unconditional love. Like the real love is unconditional with no expectation. And because expectation came from fear, it's our lower ego mind, and we are expecting something in return. But real love is unconditional, we give without expecting anything. But in order to experience this with another being, we have to learn how to love ourselves unconditionally, hold space for all parts of us, the good and the bad, and how do we hold space in moments of, how do you hold space for the difficult parts of yourself with compassion? When you build a good relationship, when you love yourself unconditionally, that's how you can love the world.
Thank you. And you touched on a beautiful point there. So for me, self-love, I used to think self-love was like really loving these parts that I like about myself. Like I'm so kind, I'm so caring, I'm so compassionate, I'm generous, I'm warm, I'm friendly, I'm funny, and sharing that with the world. But I was presenting to the world a half of a being, really, because I was hiding all the other stuff, the jealousy, the insecurity, the fear, the asshole behind me in a way. I was hiding that from the rest of the world, so I was just presenting half a being to the world. And yet, who loves me the most in my life? Like the people who see both sides, the people who see it all, are the ones who love me most. So why am I trying to hide who I am? So self-love is, for me, loving, not just accepting or holding compassion for myself for the parts I don't like. How do I love the things I don't like? How do I love the fact that I'm insecure? How do I love the fact that I'm jealous? How do I love the fact that I'm arrogant and, egotistical and all these other things? How do I love all of it to the same degree?
Powerful. Yeah, that's exactly the answer to it. Yeah. When we start to forgive ourselves, we start to accept it. So my journey with my inner marriage was to look at all these broken pieces of feeling rejected, not accepted, and abandoned. To forgive them, accept them, embrace them, and say like, hey, it's okay. And hold my little girl hard and say, it's fine. So the forgiveness to ourselves is a big step to that. Actually forgive with compassion, with love. What happened?
If you can't forgive, guys, what happens? We're the ones who hurt from it, yeah? So me not being able to forgive is like me cutting myself and expecting somebody else to hurt or bleed from it. And forgiveness isn't about, because sometimes, I noticed in my life, I didn't want to forgive because I'm like, no, they deserve to die, they deserve to be punished. But I'm hurting me. So forgiveness doesn't condone the behavior, and it doesn't release them, it releases me. So I forgive to let myself off the hook. And the truth is, guys, like shame and guilt, and they serve a purpose for a moment, They serve a purpose where, okay, if that stops me doing that again, great. But it doesn't serve me going forward. It doesn't, like me hanging on to shame and holding myself back and holding myself down and keeping myself small. Shame's not about that. Like that doesn't serve them, it doesn't serve me, it doesn't serve the world. So I have to be able to release myself from all of that. I have to forgive myself, release myself, let myself go, to be able to thrive, to be able to follow my dreams, to share my gifts, to step out of fear as well.
And we are in the phase of authenticity. There is beauty in being vulnerable right now. Finally the world is ready to receive vulnerability. Yeah. We are not here to have superficial relationships anymore. We are here to have authentic relationships. To step into, hey, this is who I am. This is what we're getting. If you want, and if you don't want, okay, I stay with myself. I'm good. when I met Dean, I was living my best life. Of course, I wanted to have a partner, but I was not looking anymore. I was like, yeah, I'm good, and I'll be good in 5 years if I'm alone. I was single for 7 years before I met. I was really into my own journey, and the feminine journey, the goddess word. So, having a man or not was okay, it was not my biggest challenge. But I was calling in someone who could understand who I was and accept me that way, that I could be authentic. And it was exactly like this that we met. We first became friends. Well, our story, it's a very beautiful story. We met at the pyramids, and we have a lot of mystical things. If we have time, we can share a little bit. A lot of energy things came up for us. Synchronicities, to bring the ring. Anyways, yeah. So anyways, we have beautiful stories, but the calling in was if this guy understands who I am. And then I met a guy that first became my best friend. And I also didn't want it to be with him as he shared in the beginning, because there were things that for me, it was already absolutely like that. This is working like that. And Dean was still different from me, like he was in another path. And then when he shifted that energy and he said, I choose myself. I was in the other side of Bali. He was in one side of Bali, I was in the other side of Bali. Something shifted in me. I woke up, he was talking to the moon at night. I woke up in the morning after, went for a walk, and suddenly, wait, what am I not seeing? And then I could look at him as a man, not just as my friend anymore. I was like, oh, I love this, I love that, we get along with that. Oh, let's try that. But then, there was another thing that happened. I don't see us in a conventional way of that story of romantic love and stuff. Like, I see a different way of navigating our relationship. And then I had to tell myself, like, okay, let's create my own version of relationship. So we created together, in communicating all the time, like, hey, how are we going to navigate our relationship? So our whole journey has been based on that, being authentic to each other, sharing, crying, laughing together. But finding our version of relating. And I think that's why you guys are here. Because maybe the traditional way, as we said in the beginning, it's broken, it's not working. But in my perception, how about you create your own relationship? How about creating your own way to relate to someone? Do you guys agree with that? Do you have something to add to it?
Can I ask just quickly, ask the women first, ladies, how many of you have said there's no good men out there? Or have heard your girlfriend saying there are no good men out there? Guys, how many guys have said there are no good women out there?
Wow.
It's very interesting to notice, because I facilitate men's circles and I hear men talk about something where sometimes women come with this long list of what they want, which is okay. It's good to know what I want in my life, but then they're no-brainers, like they're non-negotiables. Now, if Susanna had a list that were non-negotiable, we wouldn't be where we are, because you're not going to meet a king. Like a lot of women are out there looking for their king. You're not going to meet a king. You're going to meet a prince who's going to help become a king. So Susanna helped me to become a king. It was in meeting Susanna and going through what we went through and choosing her fully that I got to step into my king role and embrace the king, the warrior, magician, and the lover. But sometimes we have a list that's so strong, it's like, oh, red flag gone. Instead of, okay, can I find somebody like Susanna said that I want to work through things with, you know? So one of the best things we have is we have like regular sharings. Like in our sharing is we set the space and we can talk about anything at all. So I will say things to Susanna that I would never normally say to anybody. Because if I can't talk to my wife about it, who can I talk to? If I can't share with her, better to share with her than to have it just like on my mind all the time and me secretly resenting her. So sometimes I'll start a sharing with, I notice there's some fear in me right now because I feel like what I'm going to say might hurt you. So So I prep it with this, and so Susanna can prepare herself and know that I'm just sharing what I'm sharing. It's my experience, it doesn't mean it's true. But I get to share it, and something magical happens when I get it off my chest. Sometimes it's not even true, it's not even real. It's just like, oh my God, it was playing in my mind and I needed to get it out. What is suppressed must be expressed. If I don't express it verbally, I'll express it in other weird, unhelpful ways. Like where I'll start, like looking at other women and going, she's doing this, or maybe she's doing like I start to leak energy. So when I get to share it with Susanna, we get to hold that energy within the relationship. Make sense?
Yeah, the list. I'm reminded of something that employers say when they're doing interviews, that they've discovered over time that if you ask about 50 questions on an interview, you will eliminate every single